What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Criscoe Fontaine, aka Coach Criscoe. Appreciate you for pulling up. We're talking about KD today. So the Suns are gonna move off of KD. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion. He won't be in a Phoenix Sun uniform next season. It's been brought to the public eye that Kevin Durant has 3 teams that he's interested in potentially going to. And of course, those teams would happen to be the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, Houston Rockets. Now, there's some other teams that's in the, I guess, the sweepstakes for him, but he doesn't show any interest, so it would be pointless for them to make a trade, ship off assets to bring somebody in that's not going to resign. He doesn't want to be there, so why would they do that? But there's some teams that it would make sense for him to go to, and if he warmed up to the idea of going, they probably should. If it has to be. It has to feel right. And at KD's, let's just look up something real quick. How old is Kevin Durant? 36, 37? At the age of 30, so he'll be 37 at the beginning of next season. He is, let's face it, he's at the end of his career. All right? So what's important to him, I'm sure, is still winning. I mean, look at last season. He averaged 27 points last season. 52% from the field, 53% from the field. So the man is still a bucket. And any team that you can, Kevin Durant is one of the most easily plug and play players to with a team that is on the cusp or of contending or right there at it and is missing a piece. There's some teams that I think would make a lot of sense outside of the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Heat. Now, between those three teams, Spurs, Rockets, Heat, man, I would love to see him with Wemby. Can you think of Wemby and KD together with KD's tutelage? Wemby is listed at 7'3". I think he's taller than that. Look at that. That's crazy. I think he's much taller than 7'3". I do. He could stand to add a little bit to his frame, I think. But, again, just the second year in the league, he'll bulk up a little bit. It kind of reminds me of Giannis when he first got in the league. But can you just imagine Victor Wembanyama with Kevin Durant, playing with Kevin Durant, learning from Kevin Durant? He's not a big framed guy. He's long, tall, but I think he's going to play with more finesse than ever being a back to the basket type of big. So if you can kind of plug some of Kevin Durant's skill set into a Wemby, that would be tough. Now Houston makes sense because they have the pieces already. They're a young core. They're right there on the cusp. What they're a 3 seed, 2 seed. They were 2 seed this season, 24-25 season. The 2 seed really overachieved in my opinion this season. Houston would make a lot of sense, but I think that they would have to come up off of a lot of their core. Now, if they're able to retain Şengün and Amen Thompson, you might, be okay with sending off Jalen Green and, whomever else. Tari Eason. Some of that bit of that core might have to go. But when you are already the 2 seed and, you can add some role players. You may not need a home run hitter like Kevin Durant to come in. Of course, he's a needle mover for sure. But you're already there. And that's why I go back to San Antonio, because although Wemby did get hurt, or he had the blood clots, right, that put him out for the rest of the season, they, weren't even in the play-in contention, so they are not even close. Houston is close. They're close, and I feel like if you gut their youth for a KD that's going to come in and maybe give you 2-3 years max before he could very well play well into his 40s maybe, but with his injury history and, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know if I would just gut my youth, my core, when they just had the season that they had, really overachieved, 50 plus wins. So I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be mad if he went to Houston. Now Miami is interesting because Miami is interesting just from the fact that it is the Eastern Conference. And the Eastern Conference next season is going to be substantially weaker. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of trades, I think, that's going to transpire in the next couple. But the Eastern Conference is going to be very, very up in the air next year. No Dame in Milwaukee, and we still don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. No Tatum in Boston, and we don't really know what's going to happen with Jaylen Brown and a lot of their core. They're not going to be able to bring everybody back. Drew may be gone. Porzingis may be gone. Derek White's name has been in trade talks thus far, even though they said that I don't think they're going to part with Derek White. They may retain him. But Boston's roster is going to look drastically different next season. Cleveland, we don't know. They could have been fool's gold this year. We don't know what kind of season they're going to have next year. They're going to have to make some adjustments. I don't think you can run that same team back. And you look at a move like what Orlando just did, bringing in Desmond Bane. You ship off Caldwell Pope, ship off Cole Anthony, and a myriad of first-round picks. It's crazy, astronomically diabolical. Send off like 4 first-rounders for Bane. That sets the market. So if Desmond Bane goes for 4 first-rounders, what is KD going to go for? And if you are a young team like Houston, like San Antonio, or I think they have picks that they can move off with, I think. Do you want to leverage your future for immediate right now? If you are win now, which Orlando seems to be win now, so they say, I don't know if Desmond Bane moves the needle for Orlando as far as a win now perspective, but it definitely puts them higher up in the Eastern Conference ranks, just from the sake of the teams that were ahead of them. A lot of them are going to be weaker next year. So we'll see what happens in Orlando. But Miami, KD in Miami would work just from the sake of the conference being weaker. That's really it. If you put KD back in the Eastern Conference, whatever team he goes on, if they were already in the hunt, and I think Miami were a playing team this season, if they were already in the hunt, then he's gonna move the needle for Miami, or for a team like Miami. You have to come off of Tyler Hero. If you're able to keep Bam and the young big man, I can't think of his name, Ware, you're able to keep some of those guys. You had to maybe come off of Jaquez and Hero, and I don't know who all Phoenix would want. You might have to bring a third team in to help facilitate that. That would work. But there's another team that, of course, was in the runnings, and they have pieces to make it work. But KD is not necessarily interested, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I saw this earlier. Shout out to Hoops Hype. But I saw this on Twitter also, X. And Anthony Edwards is not involved in recruiting KD to Minnesota. Now, I don't know if that is just Ant being on some, man, I'm not calling nobody to come and help me. Like, if you want to come, you can come, but I'm not calling, like, on some ego type ish. I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't necessarily want KD to come to Minnesota. I don't know if that's the case either. I think he's on record as saying that KD is like one of his favorite players. But according to Mark Spears, they talked to somebody close to Anthony Edwards on Wednesday's episode of NBA Today. This is a non-story. He's in Atlanta working now. He loves his former teammate. He loves his current teammate. Some people close to me said he's focused on what's next with his team, and he's not flying to LA to try to convince KD anything different. So, don't know really what to take of that. I think it's really, much to do about nothing. But I think KD in Minnesota would work wonders, man. I guess they would have to move off of Randall, right? But that's okay because you got Naz Reid. And you're going to have to pay Naz Reid. And if you ask me, and I'm just a nobody, but if you ask me, do I keep Naz Reid? Do I try to keep Randall? I mean, I'm taking Naz Reid all day. All day. All day. So if you think of a lineup where, let's say that I don't know how the trade would work out, but let's just say that they would have to move off of, maybe Dante, Randall. I think from what I've read somewhere, maybe it was on X also, that Minnesota wouldn't include Jaden McDaniels in any trade talks, which that's good. Maybe Alexander Walker. I think he's a free agent, actually. Maybe not. Or, maybe if you hold on to Dillingham, you keep Rob Dillingham. You might have to add Connolly in that deal if you have a Dillingham that can slide in and be a starting point guard at one, just as a rookie, but moving into his own, I think he could be a starting point guard in the league. You can make that work. Minnesota can make that work. They can give Phoenix a package that they can't refuse. Pause. And Phoenix is, I'm reading that they're going to have to. It's on Hoops Hype as well, and we're going to wrap this up. But they're going to have to reduce their asking price for KD. First of all, you can't necessarily have a high asking price for somebody that's 37 years old. I know he's putting up buckets. He was in and out of the lineup this season, right? Most of the Suns were, right? Beal was, Booker was, KD was. So, like I said, his injury history that's important, and his age as well. So you can't just necessarily expect a team to break the bank to bring him in, even though he's still putting up numbers. But this is courtesy of the Arizona Republic. Shout out to Hoops Hype again. The Phoenix Suns may be placing too high of a value on Kevin Durant and might have to reduce their asking price and negotiate a trade. League sources informed the Arizona Republic. Durant remains one of the game's best players, finishing sixth in the NBA in scoring at basically 27 points a game. But at 36, he isn't viewed as the same player who won Finals MVP back-to-back years with the Warriors in 2017 and 2018. There's a few other teams. I mean, I've seen people say that OKC should make a shot at him. I don't think that would be smart, especially with them being on the cusp of winning a championship. If they win a championship, why would you break that core up? They're super young. I'm not trading off for Chet Holmgren and, whatever other pieces that, these guys are 22, 23, 24 years of age for a 36-year-old guy, and I just won a championship. Not doing that. That makes no sense. Outside of that, I mean, other than going back to Golden State, New York is not interested. I've seen that. Out of those three teams, I mean, I would love to see him in San Antonio, but I don't know if him going to San Antonio moves San Antonio. I don't think it moves the needle for them as much as far as putting them as a contender, especially in the top heavy, in the heavy Western Conference. I'm not sure. But I think his best chance to win another championship, would actually be going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Let me know what you think about Kevin Durant in the comments, por favor. What team you think he should end up with? What team you think should just go ahead and make the move, bring KD in, put them over the hump, contend for a championship? Because I think, at this age, I know he still wants to hoop, still playing at a high level, but you want to win too. And people have so many things to say about KD. What he did before he got to Golden State, what he's done after Golden State. And it's like, okay, well, you need a Steph and the guys to win a chip. He hadn't done anything close to that outside of just in Golden State. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like if you like the video. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button on your way out the door, por favor. See you on the next one.